At risk of repeating myself, I think that we are not normal. I mean, by virtue of you watching a VTuber, you're not normal, right? But what does normal really mean? And how have we deluded ourselves into thinking that we're normal? I think this video was a long time coming. I wanted to talk about tribes at one point. How we seem to have this aversion to the idea of tribes and tribalism. Primarily because when enough people care about something so specifically and butt heads, it causes a fracas for everyone. But really, tribes are some of the best things you can find in this day and age. We exist in a space that is a very large umbrella of culture over everything else. We have a lot of very, very similar touchstones, and those touchstones don't always fit everyone. What you believe may not be mainstream, or what you believe may be mainstream, but there are a lot of very loud tribes that obfuscate, that make it seem as though your ideas are much less prevalent than they actually are. Everyone thinks they are the one whose opinions are not mainstream. We talked about Dunbar's number, right? That you can only really sustain around 150 meaningful relationships just before everyone becomes numbers and statistics and such, but I think 150 is a good number because 150 is enough to live your entire life around them. We think of like rural communities where you never really meet anyone outside of town, or maybe if somebody comes in, it's a huge momentous occasion. Otherwise, everyone knows who each other are. And again, this is the idealized rural community, not the actual one. We can live our entire lives thinking that one specific narrow slice of human existence is how everyone else experiences it. That could mean that you were in a place that was particularly tolerant of you and your kind. And maybe everything made sense where you are, and suddenly it doesn't. Because as the internet has connected all these tribes together, has created a massive battlefield between all these different belief systems, we realize how small our slice of the human experience is, and how at times it needs to be defended from others, how through no provocation someone will go after you. And I think that's why we hate tribes. We've come to dislike tribes. We think that if our tribe was the one on top, the one that was controlling everything, that made sure that everyone felt good, that our people were safe, then the world would be good. But really, no, tribes are a feature. We've become entitled to the tribe and its immediate safety when the tribe is meant to just be safety. When primordial humans wandered the world with their own very tight-knit cultures and ideas, at times religions, all national myth, all fables and lessons were in service of you and your immediate people surviving, and that immediate people began to slowly grow until it couldn't be immediate anymore. So no, anime isn't mainstream. Just because there was a Newbury Comics or a Hot Topic that sells My Hero Academia merch does not necessarily mean that people will just simply accept that you are wearing that. Anime isn't mainstream still. Though the appeal is much broader, it's much wider, people feel the ability to be able to market towards so many more people, it is no longer as niche. It doesn't make it less of a niche, though. And for every countercultural movement, there is culture. There is the old guard that exists, that continues to push its space, and that in of itself is also a tribe. But this isn't a video about fixing tribalism, it's actually about why tribalism is so good. It's so inherently self-kindness, a self-service, because it can be exhausting being somebody for a lot more people. Sometimes it helps to let your hair down, to be in a space where you don't have to be ready to fight. It's like a tutorial zone. It's your own bespoke tutorial zone, your tribe. Collecting 5, 20, 100. I'm not saying you're talking to all these 100 people regularly, but being in this space permits you the ability to be safe, and safety is such a rare commodity nowadays, right? I'd be really surprised if many of us felt safe for longer than maybe a couple of hours at a time in a day. The space outside can be a battlefield. It can be very, very hard to navigate. It can be hard to sort of absorb the rules of engagement from other people. I think that's why, in particular, some tribes get upset when other tribes enter their space, quote unquote, because they don't have to be challenged. They don't have to grow. They don't have to exist in a space wherein they have to be confronted by realities that they aren't happy to interact with. But those are still realities for other people. I think we've demonized a fundamentally human aspect a fundamentally human trait. That is, humans exist to find comfort. They don't exist for self-betterment. They don't exist to be the apex of things. No creature exists to be the apex. Evolutionarily, at least, creatures exist to multiply and live and have food and have water and have sleep. They live for comfort. And I think we've forgotten that at least one of our base needs is to feel comfortable, and feel comfortable around people who make us comfortable. We don't like conflict. We don't like people fighting. We don't like people not being able to work together. At times, that's too much. At sometimes, you just need to exist in the tribe. Sometimes that comfort that you've got is crucial. And if you, when you're strong enough to be able to journey past, to go on a pilgrimage. Ding, 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 10 minutes. When you eventually become strong enough to be able to be an ambassador, to go on a pilgrimage, to go out of your way to share your way of life with other people, or butt heads with other people as a warrior, we'll be rooting for you. But that aside, how many of us are simply civilians? Why are we getting the pressure to be anything but?